So, welcome everybody to another webinar. We'll talk today about how we can train effectively for our big ultra. So, we'll discuss how we can be more efficient, obviously, identify your strengths, your weaknesses, and how we can do specific work. Because a lot of times runners, they do everything because they think it will help them. And then we'll talk about periodization, and then we'll have Q&A. So any questions you have, you can during the webinar you can always ask, but then you can we'll have a Q&A. The most common mistakes that trail runners do is they do let's do more miles. This obsession, I think this is the biggest obsession in trail running. More miles, more long distance running, and it's the same routes. But more miles, they won't fix the things that we need to fix. The best way to think about your training is structure. That's it. I mean, that's the basic. If you have structure, you'll be able to see your plan in the following 12 months, not in the following block. So here's an example. I think Dan, you'll find this familiar. So this is a structure for Dan. He's training for 100 miler. You know exactly where you're standing, and you know exactly what blocks you have. And it's important to have a periodization plan, and there are different periodization plans. We won't go into depth into that, but the most basic one, you have 3 weeks you load, and then 1 week recovery. And based on your strength and weaknesses, you work around that. 1 minute. Um, People that join, I have to accept them. So then you have RRT. I don't know if some of you might have already the guide or read the guide. Basically, running resistance training. So it's strength and conditioning for runners. The best way to go, around it is again like like running, but focusing on where is your running periodization and where is your strength training. This is another structure periodization plan for an athlete I'm coaching for a sub-3 marathon. So you see in strength and conditionings in RRT, you have hypertrophy, you have speed, you have strength, you have general preparation, you have endurance high reps. So it all depends. There are a lot of nuances when it comes down to making a structure, making a periodization plan. You don't need to go in such depth, but I suggest just get an Excel sheet and say, okay, this for the next 12 weeks in this block, I will work on one thing. So one element rather than have 100 things. And then you have to combine. So obviously when you have, let's say, muscular durability, you're not going to have a lot of intensity work or long runs. So you have to really be cautious about what is this block about in your strength and your running. I used to do it all the time in terms of random runs. Like, it's a social run I can do for like 10K. And then, race day comes, I was feeling sorry for myself and crying on top of hills. I did all sorts of stuff like Spartan, Ironmans. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Gran Canaria for a long run, Reykjavik, whatever. But it doesn't help because the system gets confused. Here's an example. Anya, for example, she ran a 50K UTS here in the UK, and she finished destroyed. She came to me and said, "Look, Alex, I did 50K and I want to do 100K, but I don't want to feel like I felt when I finished because she couldn't walk." So we do 110K. So we worked together, and she finished 110K, Seven Valleys Ultra here in the UK. Strong. As you can see, she's standing. I was holding her. I'm joking. She finished strong. But if you look at her training peaks and you look at her data for the past 12 months, you can clearly see that there was no structure. It was like, yeah, Saturday long run, yeah, short run, whatever. Vera, she came to me. She was injured and fibia injury. And anyway, this is just a beautiful message of how when you're strong, when you train with structure, you enjoy your races. And yeah, she said she wouldn't be in such a good condition if well, she does all the work, but yeah, the whole point of her finishing the race that she did strong and enjoying was structure. That was the whole my whole philosophy and my whole thing. And now she has a race next week, 100K, that we've been working together for the past couple of months, and she's the fittest she's ever been. Step one, when you think about your training, is to think about the sport needs analysis. So sport need analysis is what does the sport require? So here's an example from my files when I design a session. Uh, the reason why the screen goes is because of people join and have to let them go. Okay, so trail running, 100K, 100 miles. The same goes for those who are training for a marathon, but obviously focusing on endurance. You have to look at the terrain, what kind of terrain it is, technical terrain, elevation, gain and loss. But then will it have scrambling? So it means you'll be scrambling. Obviously, energy system, you don't have to go in that much detail, but it's good to know to have an idea when you're preparing your plan. Then specific physical demands. So they're all important, but the two most important that a lot of trail runners miss is downhill control. So essentially quad stretch, ankle stability, proprioception on technical terrain. And that's why a lot of people DNF, or they finish destroyed, or they can't walk the next day, but they like, oh yeah, I finished the race. But the body, doesn't agree, because obviously if you can't walk the next day, I mean, we will get tired. You will get tired from races if you've done an ultra, but you shouldn't be able you should be able to walk like a normal human being. Then lateral and rotational stability. So a lot of times people go to the gym and say, yeah, I'm going to do gym work and strength, but all they do is bodybuilders workouts. I highly recommend download RRT, the guide, and I explain in more depth and I did one or two webinars on my YouTube channel about strength training for runners, which is RRT. But basically, the think of your training. You're not training up and like, let's say, deadlifts only, squats only. You have to do rotational stuff. You have to do stability stuff, and you have to do stuff that helps your running, and not just helps your running only, but the muscles that are not working. So um, yeah, so primary movement patterns. You have how do you run on uneven terrain? How is your single leg stability? Lunge pattern, hinge pattern. So these are all the stuff that you need to consider when you're training. You don't need to memorize them, but think about your body is, our bodies, that's 3D. It's not straight up and down. We're moving our daily lives. We are functional human beings, and this is the problem, the biggest problem with runners and people in general in gyms that I see. They just go and they just do bodybuilders workouts, but you're a functional human being. You take shopping bags right and left. So always think of a 3D as system. Predominant energy systems, obviously, for trail running, it's aerobic, fat oxidation to at low to moderate intensity. For marathon running, it's actually the opposite. Uh, so this is where training and nuances come hand in hand, because running an ultra, you're going to be running in zone 1, zone 2. Zone 3 is going to be rare uphills. And it's interesting for marathon, it's exactly the opposite. You're going to be running, well, zone 2, yeah, but it's not a different sport, but the requirements are different. Muscle groups. This is what a lot of times I see people do and coaches do. Okay, so running is quads, glutes, hamstrings, calves, and soleus, right? And they go and they train that. But the problem with training only that, running already does that. I'm not saying you shouldn't train your hamstrings and your glutes and all that stuff, but if running already trains that, we need the foundational strength. Yes, 100%. I'm not saying don't do squats, don't do lifts, and don't do what I'm saying, we need to train other muscles like adductors, core. Core is so important. So many people miss core. It's like you're a runner, you're running. The whole movement is core. So think of primary muscles that running demands, but then think of, okay, I'm doing that, I'm strong there, but I need to add other exercises to improve. Here's an example: Bulgarian split squats. Everybody hates them, but hey, they're very good. What I would say, if you have a good foundation of strength, Bulgarian split squats. Let's say you've been training. I don't know. You've done 6 months of strength training, and you have a good foundation. If you haven't, you need to train properly This is the nuance that I think I'm missing from the RRT. If you when you read it, or if you read it, it's there are nuances, and obviously one guide you can write 100 nuances. But if you're new to strength training, you shouldn't be doing rotational stuff like this, um, because you need first to build the foundational strength. Now, this morning, I didn't discover, but I thought I was filming some exercises for an athlete that I coach, and I thought of how to make Bulgarian split squat Bulgarians harder. And I know some people will not appreciate it, but this is another example of when you have a strong base, you can, okay, this exercise, this overhead Bulgarians means you're working your core, means you're working your legs, so less weight, but your whole body is working, your upper body is working. Is so you think of how can you be more efficient, not just to do one exercise in one dimension. So if you want, try it tomorrow or when you go to the gym. The other thing you can look at is what are the common injuries. So, for example, when I was well, I do it now, but before when I was training for Dragon's Back, a race here in the UK, I looked at what are the injuries, what are it's 380 kilometers race in 6 days. What are the common injuries? So the most common injury is overuse, and if you look at the reason why, is because people are doing the same and the same thing. So if you're running on road, for example, and you live in a city, I suggest changing your terrain. Don't just run on a road. So you're running, for example, on I don't know, in a park. Choose the softer terrain, or always change your terrain. If you're running constantly on trails, change different terrain. And then yeah, to you write a plan and say, okay, these are the common injuries. Then your injury history, and then you say, okay, how can I improve and strengthen those muscles, those intrinsic muscles, so this doesn't happen. And the step two is athlete movement analysis. So this is Ken, someone we've been working for a couple of months now. So you can see he's anterior dominant. He's working in office, so his anterior muscles, posterior chain, are stronger because he's constantly in the office. Running demands posterior chain, right? Because back muscles. Um, so based on your movement assessment, you can see, okay, where are your strengths, where are your weaknesses. So you can see here in his report, we have, okay, red ankle mobility, red hip external rotation. Then Thomas test, for example, Thomas test in December last year, it was, I think that was red or something. So yeah, it was because it's in green now. So you have to do a movement assessment first to see to develop an individual plan for you and say, okay, I need to work more on my posterior chain. Another movement assessment that I've done for Iveta, and a running form assessment. We can see that her hamstrings are not tight, which is great. The little runners have tight hamstring, but she's overstriding. So that means that an injury is around the corner, basically, if she does nothing about it. The third step is fitness test assessment. So you can do different, there are so many tests that you can do, but you can choose 10 things that you test. Do an Excel sheet or no on no or Notion, and write down. Do an LT1 test, LT2 test. These are the basic tests that you should do. Cooper test. Cooper test is it's one of the best, not best, but one of the most efficient ways to see if you're improving. 12 minutes, full speed. See how much distance you can cover, and then in 4 weeks retest, or 6 weeks, or 12 weeks, depends how you're going to do that. But you need to see where your LT1 is, where your LT2 is, and then how fast you're going. Even if you're doing trail running, because in trail running people are obsessed with, yeah, we just walk, hike, and eat. Well, yeah, you can be slow and chasing cutoff times. So that's one aerobic fitness test. Then you have muscular durability tests. Again, lower body strength, you do 3 RM. I don't recommend 1 RM. 3 RM means you do 3 sets of the highest, the um, the most weight you can do, basically. So let's say you squat, I don't know, 50 kg that, for 3 times, that's your 3 RM. And then in 3 months, 12 weeks, you retest and you see if you've improved. And that way you can see if you're lacking muscular durability, if you're lacking aerobic durability. Tibialis anterior, it depends. Like you create something that works for you. But yeah, single leg stability is important. So this is how athletes have a dashboard of their everything is there basically. Their strength, their running, their decoupling. So they have a dashboard where they log on and they check how they're improving. So Hunter, for example, first test in January, he squatted 80 kg. Today, July, 110. That's a 37% increase. A deadlift 80 kg and then 120 in July. That's a 50% increase with running as well. Plus, he was in calorie deficit before. Now we've progressed because he achieved his body composition goals. He finished 120K Costa Brava race. He came 16th. But now, because we are training for a sub 3 marathon, that's a totally different game. So we added plyometrics, and he's injury free. He had a small injury, but we solved that. Now plyometrics come in handy. Now, if you're a beginner, again, there are nuances. I wouldn't start with plyometrics because plyometrics are quite not dangerous, but you can get yourself injured if you don't land properly, if you don't have tendon strength. Yeah, if your tendons are not strong enough, if you're there are a lot of nuances. So for him, obviously, I know him. I know where his strengths are, and we start slowly, slowly. We started level one plyometrics, and slowly we are moving up. But to increase his speed for a sub 3 marathon, we need to do the jump. Like we were testing broad jumps, we were testing counter movement jumps, and single leg jumps, which I forgot to put in. Um, so that's kind of, and you can see yourself if you're progressing or you're not progressing. The other part is you do an athlete lifestyle assessment. So you can see, guys, how it's not just running. I do running 100K a week, 50K. You have to see how you're performing. Lifestyle is what do you eat, how many hours do you sleep. So, for example, this is an athlete. You can see that he's sleeping around 8 hours per day, which is great. Some days it's 3 hours. It means if you're sleeping less on those days, the next day shouldn't be a hard session. So, especially for this one, he was in New York, then he travels to France. He's traveling a lot anyway. So because he's traveling, there is a lot of fatigue. Obviously, he's getting tired. He's constantly somewhere. So you have to be really considerate and see how is your lifestyle. For example, Vera, her macros are dialed in. I mean, she's amazing. Her macros are dialed in. We know exactly what she's eating. She knows exactly how much protein she's taking. And for a woman, she's tiny. She's eating 160 grams of protein per day. 3,000 calories, 3,100 per day. She's not in a deficit. She's not for body composition goals. She's purely for not to get injured again and to perform, to finish strong. That's what she wants. And it took a couple of months to adjust, but she found a formula and this works. That's why lifestyle assessment is important to see where you are, where is your baseline. Are you eating enough protein? Are you recovering fast enough? Are you sleeping enough? It's like it's not all the fancy stuff that a lot of times we hear on social. Oh, you need to do. No, it's the basic stuff that works. It's this aerobic, fiber, veggies. And I know people don't like hearing that. It's boring because we think that there's some magical workout or a magical formula, but at the end of the day, this works. Running. Um, running a lot of times people are obsessed with outcome goals. So outcome goals means I want to finish a race. So Dan wants to finish 100 miler next year. That's an outcome goal. But the challenge when we focus with outcome goals, they don't depend 100% from us because something might happen. You might get injured. Something might fall. You might be walking and something might fall on your head and you don't do the race or the race get canceled. And this is why a lot of runners get disappointed because they have outcome goals. What I always suggest is we have process goals. We focus on the process the process that will help our performance goals, and then performance goals. The byproduct is our outcome goals. So process goals is what do you do every single day? Are you doing intentional training? Are you doing intentional fueling? Are you doing intentional sleeping? I want to say intentional sleeping, but are you being intentional about your training? And something that I constantly say is like, you have to win the day. Just like someone I'm coaching now, Lisa, and her protein is really low, like it's low. So it's just don't beat yourself up that you can't hit your protein goal, your macros goal. It's just win the day. You need to hit, say, 100 grams of protein today. You need to sleep 8 hours at least today. You need to improve those things And then you can think about you need to solve your injury problem versus yeah, I need to do more runs and stuff. So um yeah, outcome goals should be a byproduct. And usually what happens actually when you put an outcome goal and you start training, the training is really like whatever in a way. It's wrong just because you're thinking, I want to finish 100 miler. That's it. That's what's and then based on that, you do your training, which is not really like, you know, it doesn't work that way. You have to create a process, and that's the whole point of having process goals. You create a process in your life. Okay, I do this, and I do this, and then the rest follows. Goals. So something, for example, in part of the of Notion dashboard, for my athletes dashboard, we have goals. Yes, run 100K. Yes, run sub 3 marathon. Yes, that's an outcome goal. But what about the rest? So we had other goals. We finished the race, the 110, for example, for Hunter. We've achieved body composition goal. We lost 5 kilos, achieved now maintain. That's one goal, and then we have other goals for the next 12 months because we need to improve single leg strength. We need to improve single leg stability by 30 seconds. We need to improve vertical jump by 7 seconds, and all this stuff. There are a lot of goals. We're not going to improve them within what 3 or 6 months. These are goals for the next 12 months, and you focus on two or three maximum goals so you can achieve them and then you progress slowly. A lot of times what runners do, they rush. It's like, here, let's do everything in the next block, 12 months, sorry, 12 months, 12 weeks, which it doesn't work. We all know that. Ken, for example, amazing athlete. He finished 180 miles in 30 hours. Basically, it was 30 hours a race, and he wanted to do 80 miles, and he finished, and he's 59. Now, at the same time, we had other goals. He lost 10 kg in 7 months, which is incredible. So, performance-wise, improved. So, he became stronger. He became more durable. He increased his strength, like hip thrust, went 63%. So, this is just shows as an example that athletes that have process goals, they don't just achieve one goal, but they achieve body composition goals, they achieve mobility goals, and it's great. If you track, you know the numbers. And here's Ken's process goals. He's hitting his macros every single day. Obviously, not every single day is perfect. Some days, yeah, but it's if you win 6 times a week, like, and on average, like 178 grams of protein per day and 1,000, he was in deficit, obviously, 1.5 per day. That's incredible. But then you have nuances because on long runs, you're not going to be in deficit, right? If you have body composition goals, you increase your calories. So training. So this is periodization. So training is not the work you do, it's the effect that the work has on your body. Here's an example of what happened actually this weekend with Lisa. So she was in Chamonix and she had a plan. And on Saturday, I noticed she went into red. This is the red that you see is basically she's fatigued. She's very fatigued. As you see, the blue line is fatigue, and then the red is high risk form. And I'm like, and I messaged her, what's up? Tomorrow you're not doing a run because you're already in red. Red. The reason why is because it's not intentional. She's in a different phase. We're not building, we're not pushing for performance. We're not building for her to peak because she's slightly injured and we need to recover. But because she did a hike and other reasons she traveled, she was in Sweden, blah blah blah, and that's fine. You take a step back and say, okay, if I'm too fatigued, I'm not going to push myself. Sometimes it's good when you're peaking, when the race is like in a week. Like for example, if I show you Vera's graph, she was peaking for like 2 3 weeks, constantly in red, coming out and in. But the most important takeaway from this is everything needs to be designed in pencil. Every training plan that you do, every single run that you have, it's designed in pencil. That's why I have everywhere pencils to remind myself that every program that I design is in pencil. And a lot of times people don't do that because obviously it's time, it's energy, time to design a program. But in my head, it's like I don't care. Well, obviously for my athletes, but even for myself, it's like your body and your health should be top priority, not the freaking race. So everything that you do, even strength, even running, if you feel pain, just stop. You just go back and say, okay, everything is designed in pencil. Take a step back, and then move forward. So yeah, this is a really, it's a simple concept, but I learned it from my instructor or teacher when I was studying personal training, which I think it's so important. A lot of times people forget. Durability. I'm not going to talk a lot about durability because I've done a whole webinar on durability, aerobic durability, muscular durability. You can watch it on my YouTube. But to recap, we need durability, especially in endurance running, endurance trail running. This is one of the most, it's, you can be as fit, very fit, but if you don't have durability, you're going to bonk, you're going to DNF or finish destroyed. Aerobic durability is when your cardiovascular system is efficient to go for 10 plus hours. And you can see that when you do your long runs. Now, to see if you have um, cardiac decoupling. Basically, cardiac decoupling means if you do a long run, let's say 2 hours, and the second part of your run, your heart rate goes higher versus your pace. It means it's decoupled. You want the number to be, you want the decoupling to be under 5%. And you can do this test tomorrow and see if you have you have aerobic decoupling. Um, I thought I had a graph, but I don't know. So muscular durability. So muscular durability as it sounds, when you're running, if you have muscular durability, your muscles are able to produce force so you can keep running. So um, runners that let's say in the second after 50K, they feel muscle soreness, they feel tired, is because their quads are gone a lot of times. Like you know, you hear people say, "Oh, my quads are gone." It's like that's because they didn't have muscular durability. And there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just knowing where your strengths and weaknesses are. Um, yeah, your strides, you know, when you're running, your strides are barely like leaving the leaving the floor. But that's the layer that you need to work on. And yeah, how many times did we hear people like, oh, you know, actually, if let me know in the comments, how many times did you feel that you on the downhill that your legs were exhausted? Let's see. Here's Pedro, Portugal. Right now, I'm training for my second marathon in November this year. I practiced trail running race last month, 20K. That's very good. So we have two marathons runners and the trail runner. So how many people had an issue with quads? Twice. Okay, five done. Um, that's muscular durability. And you work, you do strength training. Nobody else had Dan, how was your weekend? You had a race. Did you have well, you did. Um, let's see. Quads and calves, yeah. We'll work on that. We'll add more stuff. Yeah, so the solution is simple, and a lot of runners don't want to hear it, but I'm sorry. This is the truth. Um, so okay. Fit but finish destroyed. You can be really fit, but your performance might be horrible. The reason why is because fatigue is masking fitness. Did I say it right? Fatigue is right, is masking fitness. Um, the goal is not maximum fatigue. The goal is maximum fitness. Um, but yeah, a lot of times people confuse fatigue. They say, yeah, I feel tired. That's because I'm training. And then when you look a bit deeper, well, you feel tired because that's fatigue. That's not actually fitness. The difference. Uh, Performance potential means it's fitness minus fatigue. There's this concept called supercompensation. I know some of you are aware of it. Basically, it's where fitness comes basically. So supercompensation means if you're doing, let's say, one run, zone two run, this is the time that it requires to recover. Let's say so let's say zone two, it requires 12 hours to recover. Then when you're up, that's where super compensation happens. That's where you build fitness. What happens a lot of times, runners, they zone three run, and they don't recover. So there's no process of building fitness, building fatigue fitness, and then back. There's no recovery. And I'll talk in a bit. I'll explain what do I mean by this. But the concept is people don't recover enough because they run in zone three. Zone three is a trap zone, as I call it, because you're not gaining fitness and you're not gaining anaerobic fitness and you're not gaining aerobic fitness. It's like in the middle. The goal is to find your level of challenge. So this is a circle. This is where you're right now. Sometimes people challenge themselves too much, but you need to find where is like how much is too much and how much is too little. And the biggest challenge in fitness and in running and for me as a coach is finding that threshold. Okay, can I push this runner more? For obviously for for fitness, so we can gain fitness. So it all depends, and you should. It's a bit hard. Men are not that intuitive as women when it comes to, or how do you feel like usually with men is like most of the times I see I feel fine, I feel fine, I feel fine, if even if they did zone 6 zone 5 runs, I feel fine. It's like, well, surely it was a bit hard. Yeah, it was hard, but I feel fine. Women are more intuitive with their bodies, and we know that, and they're more like, yeah, I'm going to push, I'm going to step a bit back. So we all need to learn to be more intuitive. Okay, this was a bit challenging. What was from RP wise from 0 to 10, and then find your ultimate challenge. Okay, this is my threshold and I'm going to stay there. I mean, I'm going to stay, I'm going to be there. Recovery. It's really important that we recover, so we let adaptation happen. We don't become fitter when we do those long runs. We don't become fitter when we do threshold runs. We don't become fitter when we do intervals. We become fitter when we're actually recovering. It's the same for running. It's the same for strength. So you go to the gym, you lift heavy weights. You want the muscles to break. When you go to sleep, when you eat enough protein, that's when the muscles grow, recover. The same with running, and it's a simple concept, but yet runners think, no, I'm going to push harder. So they're tired. They go out next day. They do a tiring, hard session, and they think because they're doing hard sessions, they're going to get fitter. Actually, they see diminishing returns, and that's why the more miles concept is so wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. More miles will not fix your durability or fitness because you're just getting fatigued. And when we're getting fatigued, you're not. Yeah. Um, this is a graph to so you can see why we have tapper, before a race. What I would suggest always when you have your periodization period, 3 weeks and for 3 weeks loading. By the way, I say 3 weeks loading. It depends because we have guys here that want to run marathon. Don't increase and speed intensity and distance in the same week. You'll get yourself injured. You have to choose either intensity this week or distance, because if you increase distance and you increase intensity in the same week, that's just basically a recipe for a beautiful injury. So it's either speed or sorry, intensity, speed, intensity or distance. Don't do both at the same time. That's why you need to periodization plan, so like if we go back to Dan's periodization plan, there are exactly not, obviously you couldn't see because it's small, but I have exact numbers that every week I see, okay, this is the number that we need to hit. And then based on Dan's performance, if he feels great, I was like, okay, maybe we need to do more or maybe we need to do less. You have to think in terms of time. Okay, for trail running is time on feet. For marathon, for road running, you need to think of in terms of distance. Um, but yeah, you have to have that mindset of like, no, it's not just I either do intensity or I either do distance. So yeah, so peak performance potential, fitness goes up, fatigue. The good thing about fatigue drops quickly. um, Fatigue and fitness, they're not the opposites. They work together. They're byproducts of training. But the relationship that you have, the relationship between them determines your performance. So the challenge, why a lot of people focus on so much on fitness is because even they do hard sessions, because fitness builds slowly. It takes time to build fitness. So fitness builds mitochondrial density, cardiac output, muscular resilience, tendon strength, running economy. Basically, all these fancy words mean structural adaptations. And by structural adaptations, in simple English, basically what happens inside our body so we can run faster, efficient, and we can enjoy running. I hate it when I go and I don't enjoy running, like especially trail running. You're going to be 100K, you're doing 100K, you don't want to be suffering for 50Ks. Like, what's the point? Train properly, enjoy trail running, and don't chase cutoff times. It's the worst position to be, chasing cutoff times when you're doing 100 mile or 100Ks. Like, it's you better stay home. In a way, I'm joking, but um, fitness is okay. This is key. Fitness is built by training stress that the body can absorb and adapt to. The keyword is absorb, and the reason why is because a lot of times people exceed of what their body can absorb. And for example, you can have cardiovascular fitness, done, perfect example now, do a race, feel good, but your tendons or your IT band or your muscles feel, oh, I feel pain. That means that your tendons didn't adapt. Tendons need more time to adapt. Muscles need more time to adapt. We live in a, and it's not, the reason why is because we live in a generation, we live in a society where everything is right now. You know, you want this, you want that, you want that, dating, swipe right, swipe left. Everything is right now. But fitness doesn't work, our body doesn't work that way. Tendons say, you know what, calm down. I need a bit more time. Muscles say the same thing. That's why weight loss is such a huge problem. When people want to lose weight, it doesn't happen overnight. Those that lose weight with different ways, that's a different story. But overall, sustainable way to say to lose weight, sustainable way to put to gain muscle mass, it takes time. Sustainable way to increase fitness and run a 100 miler strong, it takes time. But people don't want to hear that. I mean, some people, I'm not going to say everyone, but um, so fitness builds fast. Always remember that fatigue builds fast, but goes out quickly, which is good. It's good news because you know that, okay, in 2 days or in a day, I can recover. But for example, an athlete like Ken, it takes him longer. He's 59 years old. Um, 6 months ago, it took him longer because of body composition. Now it should take him less, just because obviously he's fitter. He lost body fat. He's healthier, fitter, etc. Um, so yeah, that's why when you take a day off and you rest, and you feel stronger the next day. So fatigue mask fitness, this is the common thing in endurance. People think that, yeah, I feel tired, it means I'm building fitness. But like I said previously, a lot of runners, they have this concept called overtraining. They're overtraining constantly and they're chronically fatigued. So I've met a couple of people that are just, yeah, this is my normal, and I'm like, but this is not normal, this is, you're fatigued. Then I remember I was having a chat with someone. It's like, no, 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 this is because of age, I'm 50. I was like, no, well, no, actually, it's not normal. It's just you accepting that reality, which in my reality, this is not normal. I know plenty of 50-year-olds, plenty of 40-year-olds, plenty of 60-year-olds, oh, not say, I don't know 60, but 50-year-olds that are healthy, they're not fatigued. But because the body got used to be the body got used to be fatigued so much, and at some point it will just give up. Okay, the question is, are you building fitness or fatigue? How do you know if it's fatigue or fitness? First is aerobic decoupling. You can do this test anytime when you're fresh. Eat an hour before a banana or two bananas or something, carbs. Do a run, 2 hours or 90 minutes, and see if your heart rate goes up in the second half, and the pace stays the same. If your heart rate goes up in the second half, it means it's fatigue. It's not fitness. This is an example. Low aerobic decoupling, less than 5%. If you're using Training Peaks, there is you can see it. It's called PHHR, and if you're using intervals, it's under cardiac drift. If you're not using any platforms or these two platforms for training, most of the training, I guess, except Coros and Garmin, sorry, Coros, yeah, Coros and Garmin, I don't think they have. Um, but you can do it by yourself. Just look at your pace and heart rate for 90 minutes and compare. But yeah, if heart rate raises, it means you're losing efficiency. The second point is performance in key sessions. So real fitness shows up when you have progressive overload in strength training and in running. So when you do a quality session, you say, I feel better, and you can see your pace improve. You're not just surviving the session. You're like, yeah, I can see adaptations happen. Here's an example. I did a run. My coach should put this runs that I don't like. Intervals is my it's my weakness, but I have to train it. So you can see 1 week on the 31st of July. Basically, I'm not going to go into data. but you can see the pace that was 5:10. Here you can go 5:10, 5:53, and 5:3. My third rep was better than my first rep, and my heart rate was the same, which means this is not fatigue. This is fitness. I'm improving. This is especially important for road runners. I'm doing it because I want to improve my speed, but that's a different conversation. But I think all trail runners should actually do speed sessions, do improve their anaerobic system. Then I did the second week, and oh no, this is the same, I think. 31st, yeah, it's the same. Yeah, so yeah, 5:10 and 5:3. I confused the screenshots. Basically, there was a run that I did before that wasn't it was all right, basically. It was too hot, and I went. I don't know why. I went for a run like lunch. I said wake up early, well, which I did, but I didn't go, and it was hot, and I didn't really enjoy it. And you can see yeah, that was a mistake. But then you can check your data and see how do you perform. Now, if you don't have data and you don't want to look at data, there's a very simple way you can see if you're improving. Take a selfie and see if you're smiling or you're crying. That's it. Simple as that. Then the third way to see if it's fatigue or fitness is recovery rate. How fast are you recovering? So a well-recovered athlete bounces back within what, 24, 48 hours after a hard session, like a VO2 max or intervals. An overtrained or like chronically fatigued athlete, he will feel heavy after 72 hours. Like, yeah. The easy runs for that athlete they're never easy. They're always hard because fatigue is chronic. It's like, yeah, I'm used to that. This is an example of Vera. She's like I mentioned previously. This is an example of peaking. She has a race, and she was constantly going into red because we wanted that stimulus. We wanted to push to her threshold of fitness, and she was in red a couple of times. But look how quickly she recovered. She went into red, she recovered. She went into red, she recovered, and then again she went the last long run, which was last week. She went into deeper red, and then she recovered. And you can see her fitness is where it is right now, 65. So, and then obviously we had the deload and then race specific work. So you can always see the data, but if you don't have the data but I suggest you look at the data, at least some kind of data, so you can judge and make better training decisions. Junk miles, junk sets. Okay. I'm gonna go to this part. Basically, a simple concept, LT1, LT2, aerobic threshold, lactate threshold. What do you want? Actually, I'll ask, what do you think do we need to do? Do we need to do what's in, let's say, image A or image B? Do we need our zone 2 to be at 150 HR, or do we need our zone 2 to be at, let's say, 120? Write in the comments box. Uh, 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 uh. Okay. 2, B. Yeah, quite straightforward. Yeah, I thought I thought so. The goal is always to increase our LT1. So heart rate, quite common sense. This is the trap, zone 3. A lot of runners they're here in zone 3. They're doing. I was there for a long time, and I always had a coach. Well, not always, but the majority of my time. The reason why is because we think, oh yeah, I'm running easy. It's an easy run. I feel easy. But you have to really set your training zones, set your heart rate, and know that actually my easy runs are not easy. Now, as you have more training age, your zone 2 obviously will increase, your heart rate will decrease, and your speed for zone 2 will increase, your pace, and then you'll be like, yeah, now I'm in zone 2, for example. So that's why dance zone 2, top of zone 2 is different than Hunter or Ken in mine. And that's why most training plans, ready-made especially or on the internet, they're just completely wrong because they don't know the athlete. Even if you tell your training age, okay, if you're doing couch to 5K, yeah, if you're doing whatever, half marathon and you just want to finish or walk it, that's fine. But if you want to be more precise, you need to know what is your zone 2. You need to know your zones precisely, because then you can train properly. Because when you want that stimulus, for anaerobic. Anaerobic, you're like, okay, now I'm training, not like, oh, I think so, based on, let me see how I feel. It doesn't work that way. Okay, a concept: capacity training and utilization training. Capacity training improves long-term performance potential. So this will help you improve the fundamental qualities that you need to run 100K, 100 miler. Utilization training improves near-term performance of an athlete, which means it race specific work. Now, if you're training for 100K, 100 miler, you need to it will be mostly capacity because you don't have any utilization training, just because everything is in zone 1, zone 2. If you're training for a faster race, let's say 50K or a marathon, you will have more utilization, but you have to mix it. Aerobic capacity is your locomotive muscles ability to produce ATP using oxygen. So locomotive muscles, quads, hamstrings, calves. So we want to train that. So the goal is to make the vacuum bigger, and the vacuum is like I talk about it in the guide. It's our aerobic system. It's our vacuum cleaner side. How fast we can clear the lactate. So how to train it? Zone 1 runs, zone 2 runs, nose breathing, really important, and steady runs, and I would say fasted runs as well, maybe once a week. Um, 45 minutes, 90 minutes max, depends. That's I don't like giving prescriptions and exercises, and this is what you should do because there are nuances. But this is just a general idea. Don't take the runs that I said now or the exercises and do them. Use the principle because everyone is different. Anaerobic capacity. This is your glycolytic system ability to produce ATP quick without oxygen. So it's fast twitch fiber power. So this is for if you want to sharpen your top at speed, but there is a caveat. You have to be careful because it destroys aerobic base. So let's say Dan is training for 100 miler, right? If he does anaerobic capacity, it will destroy his aerobic base. So he shouldn't be doing. She shouldn't be nowhere close to anaerobic capacity. Well, some, but that's different. How you train your anaerobic capacity is zone 5 hills, so all out for 15 seconds. Again, 10, 15 seconds, with like 3, 4, 5 minutes rest. Again, nuances depends how quickly you recover. Short anaerobic intervals like 30 to 90 seconds. But this for trail runners needs to be around 5% in a whole year, like really minimal. An endurance athlete actually can have a lot of anaerobic capacity relative to aerobic. So an endurance athlete can actually, it can damage him doing anaerobic capacity. And it will just make the reason why is because he'll go faster in the beginning and he'll be using glycolytic. So he'll be like, oh shit, I run out in the second half of the race. Yeah, too much anaerobic destroys aerobic base. Um, the body, and the reason why is because the body adapts to what we train. We can train three systems at the same time. Now, our systems, energy systems, it's not that one switches on and one switches off like light. They're all working at the same time. But there's one predominant energy. So it's predominant anaerobic or predominant aerobic. Um, so it's not that you switch on or off, but there's predominant. That's why if you train constantly anaerobic, your aerobic system will say bye-bye. The body cannot develop two systems at the same time. And when an aerobic system dominates, well, the aerobic system gets less stimulus. Here's the solution. Yeah, so too much anaerobic work means anaerobic work dominates. Aerobic system doesn't get enough stimulus. We want stimulus. Training is all about stimulus. Think of your runs, of your strength training, whatever training you, well, whatever, this tool, trainings you're doing, you want stimulus, training stress. This is what you want. And you think anaerobic stimulus or aerobic stimulus. Mitochondrial density drops, vacuum cleaner gets smaller, LT1 drops at lower paces, and full ADS develops. Um, then you have the cost of recovery. So anaerobic work is very taxing to the body, as you know, most probably, and to the body and to the nervous system. So it requires like, I don't know, 72 hours to recover. So sometimes. And during your recovery, you can't really do aerobic work because it's like you're too fatigued. And then it becomes junk miles. This is why you see a lot of times people say junk miles or Yeah, this is because you're not doing anaerobic, you're not doing aerobic, and you're just going for a run. So you have a Monday session, hard anaerobic session. Tuesday you can't do anything, but let's say a runner goes out, he's too fatigued to do a quality session. This is what's quality session. A quality session just going for a run means that you're quite recovered. Wednesday you're still recovering, maybe zone two on Thursday, and Friday another anaerobic session. So 1 to quality aerobic sessions per week maximum. Here's a better example. Zone two quality. This is a plan. I mean, zone two quality sessions, zone one easy, still building aerobically. Zone two quality sessions, zone one easy. Then Friday, zone one, zone two. So 5 quality aerobic sessions per week versus this one where you have 1, 2. Um, okay, this is an example. I went for a race. I did a race this year with this guy, Francesco. And the funny thing is, he's faster than me. He's really fast, and we met. I don't know. I don't remember now what kilometer at some point. I don't know, maybe 30 kilometers uphill, and we were speaking, and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna go in front." I was like, "Okay, well, he's fast," and and he DNF'd. At some point I was like, "Oh, that's Francesco." I passed him before halfway. He said, "Oh man, I'm finished. I'm kaput. I can't do anymore because my legs are." I'm like, "Cool, man. Well, sorry to hear that." But anyway, I asked for his permission, obviously, to share the story, and I did. We did the last webinar, yeah, one webinar with him. But anyway, the point is, he's a fast runner. He's constantly running 50Ks. I'm the opposite. I run 100Ks, I run 100 milers. I don't do short races. It's just it's just a different type of athlete. I'm an athlete that my muscular endurance is very strong, and I've trained a lot in terms of for those type of races. He didn't, and the reason why he DNF'd is because it's what I discussed previously. He ran out because first of all, he went too fast. That was a pacing problem. But the second problem was that he didn't have the muscular endurance and the cardiovascular fitness to do the whole 110K. Um, and yeah, just a great lesson. And I remind myself because when he passed me, I was like, oh, I can go with him. I can, go faster. And I was like, no, just go your own pace. Don't follow him. It's okay. Um, I have a couple of more slides. But yeah, so strength capacity, maximum muscular force in running movements plus local muscular endurance. Basically, the muscle's ability to handle load repeatedly without local failure. The solution is strength training, RRT work. Build legs that don't break down hills on long climbs. It will improve your running economy. Next time if you do strength training properly and you lift heavy, you do the work, running downhill will be, I won't say a breeze, but it will be better. Running uphill, hiking uphill, it will be better. Muscular endurance, the only solution, the second part of muscular endurance is hills, the only way um, to improve that. Strength capacity creates local muscle fatigue in quads, hamstrings, and calves. Okay, so this is approximately like a plan that you can think of. You have base phase, so majority of the year heavy aerobic capacity zone one, zone two. That's for people who are training for trails. Those who are training for marathon, you should ignore this. You should fir- first of all identify what your strengths and weaknesses are. Do aerobic decoupling, do LT1 test, do LT2 test, and see what you need to improve. Then strength capacity, so gym and hills, technical capacity, terrain specific running, and tiny zone 5 anaerobic. So these are where nuances come. So for example, 10-second sprints only. Then you go into build phase, approaching race, maintain aerobic capacity, never drop other aerobic utilization. So this is where zone 3, where I said it's a gray zone, it's a trap. But in this phase, zone 3 will help you. So again, going back to nuances in fitness, they're always the answer is in fitness and nutrition. The answer is always it depends. Because you see, zone 3 here, good, we need zone 3. But zone 3 in base phase, we don't need it. It will be just wasted wasted energy. I don't know if wasted energy, but you got my point. Then you have gym RRT strength, maintain heel work, race specific terrain. And then obviously race phase, mostly maintenance, short utilizations. These are the non-negotiable. First, aerobic capacity, always, always, always. Then strength capacity, injury prevention and economy. Third, technical capacity, terrain specific. And then anaerobic capacity, small dose for trail runners. For people that are doing road running, anaerobic capacity should go third. Okay. If you do, or if you do zone 1 and zone 2, but you're not fast enough, which happens and people chase cutoff times, you have to diagnose the problem. Aerobic base too small, it means that you're fading in the second half. Muscular endurance too weak, it means that your legs are like, I give up on downhills, on uphills. And if they're both, well, it's you're underprepared for the race. If you're fading during the race or blow up late in the race or not fast enough, aerobic base and muscular endurance problem. So the answer is zone 1 and zone 2 runs. Um, if you fade late and aerobic base and muscular endurance, then slow from the start, but you hold pace. So let's say you start, but your pace is really slow. You need raw speed at aerobic threshold. So you have to raise your LT1, not just build volume. Here's like people think, oh yeah, I need to increase my volume. I need to do speed sessions. No, you need to raise your T1 pace, not that intensity. A lot of coaches, this is what they do. They just, oh yeah, this athlete is small, slow. Let's add intensity. Let's add zone 3. No, we don't need to add zone 3 to this athlete. We need to add we need to increase LT1. And zone 3 and zone 4, what we'll do is we'll just make this the small vacuum cleaner even smaller. So you should never add intensity if you're slow. I know it's counterintuitive, sounds counterintuitive, but this is how just the body works. Um, the goal is to make the goal isn't to make your run faster at high intensity. That's not the goal. The goal is to make your zone 2 pace faster. And you do that by adding more miles. So zone 1. This is the most common thing that I see people come. They say, I want to do this race. And I ask them, okay, when do you want to do it? Oh, I want to do it in a year. Like, oh, really? Um, well, it's a hard conversation that we need to have because sometimes you just know, like, this athlete is not going to make it. As I mean, it sounds bad, but it's the reality. I mean, you can. There are a lot of athletes we can see, or not athletes, yeah, athletes, people that they finish all these crazy races. But when I always look at them, I'm like, at what cost? You know, if the body could speak to you, what it would say? They finished destroyed, and then it's like, yeah, I finished, I did this 100 miler, but in my back of my mind, because I used to be that guy. It's like, at what cost? What did you do to your body? Because if the body is not ready and you finished, doesn't mean, yeah, it's cool. We'll speak again in a couple of years. But anyway, each to their own. The first option is to tell the athlete, simple, you're not ready. You need 2 years to do this race. The second option, I would add zone 3 tempo work. If, let's say, it's no, I need to do this race. So zone 3 work, muscular endurance becomes top priority. There is no like 3-4 times per week strength training, hill repeats, downhill running, uphill running, because yeah, it will just will give better return on investment. And then the race strategy will be different. The race strategy will be walk run. It won't be running. It won't be, yeah, it's like, how much time can you walk and how much time you can run. Um, this is what I would recommend for 2-year planning. Identify LT1, LT2 with testing. Most of your runs is zone 1, zone 2, even if it means hiking because you're going to hike a lot. Heavy strength training, at least twice per week. Small zone 5 hill sprints, 10 seconds weekly. You see, it's anaerobic, which I said you shouldn't do, but if you do 10 seconds, it's okay. You add a small dose. You do shorter races to practice running without the cutoff pressure, and retest LT1 and LT2 every 12 weeks and see how your pace improves. And then year 2, LT1 pace is now better, same heart rate, much faster running pace, add small zone 3 tempo, and cutoffs are not longer a stress. So this is the uncomfortable truth. By adding intensity, if you add intensity, you're slow. To fix a base problem, it's not going to solve because you're basically adding water into a liquid bucket. So the bucket needs to be fixed first. The reason you would start fast is because you're like, let's say, like Francesco, he started fast and he DNF just because his glycolytic system was strong. So all his system was like, yeah, we need this, we need carbs, he wasn't using fats. And then he blows up in the second half or DNFs. That's it. Finish strong, not destroyed. It's not something like a tagline. It's just a mindset that you should always have. How can I finish strong, not destroyed, and not just get a medal? Now, the nuance here, and this is very important. I can tell you races that I finished, and I can show you races that I finished, but it doesn't really matter. Nobody cares. Now, athletes like Anya, Vera, Hunter, that finish races. So it's not what works for me, it's what works for you, because you need to find what works for you, because every single athlete has a different nuance. Every single athlete has a different recovery process. So, just be cautious, not cautious, just use critical thinking. When you see people, especially, I see that a lot. Oh yeah, this pro athlete does this, like, and I had calls like when I was looking for a coach before I hired my Irene now, the coach. I had a coach with a pro athlete. I'm like, really? You're going to use that? I mean, it's like it just makes no sense, because it was like, no, this is what I do and this will work for you. But it's like, but you don't know my LT1, you don't know my LT2, you don't know how I recover, you don't know my movement. It's like there are a lot of nuances. And when I hear people say this is what you should do, no, that's a no-go. You shouldn't do because it works for Alex or Johnny or Dan or Ken. It doesn't really matter. You have to find what works for you. And the way you do that is by what we talked previously in this webinar. You do your LT1. You listen and you're on this webinar because you want to learn. You follow the not the plan. You follow common sense really, and then based on the knowledge that you have, the insights that you get, you make a decision. It's not I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. But if you know the basic stuff, you can create a periodization plan. You create a plan for yourself and just train. If your goal is to finish, you don't, yeah. So find what works for you. If you don't have the guide, I highly recommend go to my website. This is the link, or scan the QR code. So that's one. You can download it for free. Then, if you're not getting in, I'm sending every Thursday, sometimes Friday, a newsletter with insights on training. You can go to this website and sign up. Or if you download the guide, you will be receiving the newsletters every week, I would say. Now, in September, I'm opening one space for one-on-one personalized coaching. So movement assessments, all the stuff that I discuss, what I do with my athletes, you can apply. And the only reason it's apply is because I want to see if I can genuinely help you. And I like to work with athletes that are ambitious, type A personalities. So go to my website, apply, or send me a message. And last and on our list, I have a running retreat in Greece. I had one in Pyrenees this June. I have one in Greece in October. You can check it out. And any questions that you might have, unmute yourself, and I can answer anything you need. Do you have any questions? No. Was it clear, first of all? Was everything, what was the biggest takeaway?
But I didn't know that was that anaerobic system takes away from the aerobic system.
Yeah,
That's it's new for me. Yeah.
that's good. See? Training wise, what are you going to implement in the next 30 days?
First recovering from an injury, and then maybe it's better to do my interval trainings not too long, maybe a little bit shorter time.
Okay, that's good. That's very good.
I have to think
Uh,
about it.
uh, yeah, well, you said is the 80-20 rule. I just saw this comment. Yeah, you can use the 80-20
Yeah.
rule,
Yeah.
but you can always play with it, It can go, 85-75. It depends on your recovery as well. If you're feeling tired, you're not going to follow like religiously the plan. Um,
Okay.
who else? Do you have any more questions? Okay, so Pedro, okay, I read your thing. So trail running and road running. I can see I haven't previous webinars. I don't think a lot of people were doing marathons, but that's good. I always say I did a reel a couple of days ago that trail runners can learn a lot from road runners. Um, I assume you guys don't have any questions.
Nope.
I
No,
just want to say that I was on a few of these webinars, so you had a listener that's doing road running and marathons.
Ah, you were before, okay.
Yeah.
All right, it's good to know. It's like, oh, but you didn't speak last time when you joined because I don't remember.
No, my mic was broken.
Okay, well, thank you for coming,
Yeah.
Bruno.
So I listen and take what I can to road running and marathon. I know it's not everything the same, but I take what I can.
That's amazing. Well done.
Yeah.
Cool. Pedro, you were saying something.
No, just hello. Just thank you for this webinar. It's great to get some more information from trail running and it's important to connect the dots between marathon training and trail running training because as Bruno also said, almost it's too different, but you can apply with between the two terms. Okay, that's what I thought.
Amazing. Yeah, it's true. You can apply different. It's same sport in a way, but different.
Yes.
You also put in different ways to train.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. I'm very grateful that you joined. And yeah, any questions you have, you can always message me on socials or send me an email or yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your knowledge.
You're welcome. Take care, guys. Good luck with your races.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.